All right, so let's try again. Very frustrating when these failures occur. I think I'm just kind of bombarded with Wi-Fi over here is what's going on. There's a ton of it. So just lost a lot of people there watching, but hopefully people will come back. All day today, I've been hearing helicopters above, which there was one that just went that way. That's new. They used to be starting at night. Now the cops are obviously up in the air, surveying the city, figuring out what's up during the day, which makes sense. Yeah, so again, I mean, it definitely seems like we've got a mayor and a governor who are on board with the city getting destroyed. The mayor is proud of his daughter for participating in a protest where she got arrested. Well, I mean, that's fine. It's an odd position for a mayor to take. He seems to be against the police. Waited too long to institute a curfew. The first day he had it, it was totally useless. That's when the bulk of the destruction occurred. But again, I don't think people should put it past individuals or groups that would want to do this kind of violence to deliberately pull back, wait for a stand down, and then hit again right away. Remember, they're small and more agile, able to change their plans kind of quickly and do whatever. So I would caution people to be careful. There's so many other things I wanted to say. Oh yeah, one of the things in that Project Veritas video about Antifa was saying that they're training their people in hand-to-hand combat tactics, telling them to gouge people's eyes because it's an easy way to do serious injury. So they want to permanently blind people. Is that justice? Why are they doing that? You know, people saw how these peaceful protesters reacted towards me. I was not doing violence. I was asking questions like, were they aware that the killer cop and George Floyd had a previous relationship? We've now had George Floyd's own attorney confirm that. Why is Attorney General Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, why is he not calling for people to be calm while they continue to investigate this unknown relationship? So, what the So George Floyd is arrested allegedly for using a counterfeit $20 bill and killed on camera. Half an hour later, how do we know Derek Chauvin is not involved in a counterfeiting operation with George Floyd and maybe killing him for using one of the bills in a store where they're not supposed to use them? How do we know he's not involved in some money laundering scheme? How do we know these guys, the security guards at El Nuevo Ranchero, is that what the thing is called? This nightclub where they're working. How do we know that they're not dealing drugs out of that nightclub? How do we know, you know, we've seen video of George Floyd in a porno movie, which it's illegal to make a porno movie in Minneapolis or in Houston, Texas, becomes prostitution. So how do we know these guys aren't running a prostitution ring out of the nightclub or doing anything? Why is Keith Ellison not calling for calm while we investigate this thing? You know, justice is not just grabbing the first person who you think did it, deciding what the entire outcome of the event is, and then giving the guy the death penalty. I'm certainly not defending the cop. He deserves to be in jail, whatever the reason is for killing him. But, you know, if Keith Ellison and the law enforcement, or what's the guy's name? Yeah, Ellison, who, by the way, has beaten up women and himself should be in jail, but is the Attorney General, as well as a Muslim Brotherhood member. I mean, people should remember when Laura Loomer was exposing Keith Ellison, how he acted. So, I mean, this seems much more like revenge, because justice, in my mind, would be finding out what the true motive was for killing George Floyd if they knew each other. And we've got two guys with criminal backgrounds. One of them's a murderer. One of them has been in jail. He's been in prison for robbery. He's involved in prostitution. So, you know, my mind goes towards, were these guys in some criminal enterprise together, and was that the reason he killed them? And if it's not racism that caused it, then why are we destroying the country over that? Why is the mayor of Minneapolis not giving us daily press conferences about the investigation into Nuevo Ranchero? I hope I got the name of the restaurant right. If I had the third phone, I would look it up. But why aren't they giving us daily press briefings about that? Instead, they're telling us that coronavirus is destroying the country, so we need to go protest the murder of George Floyd. And I mean, they're kind of speaking in language that if people want to hear what they want to hear, which seems most people do, they're going to be sent the message that you should continue to protest. So we've seen these link things get smashed all over the place. And it's now displaying the names of individuals who've been killed in the hands of police. We can see the police over here already setting up. I mean, you know, for people who think that there's been less violence the past couple of nights, they're wrong. 2 police officers were shot yesterday. I believe it was the lead of the police officers union who said that he was calling for the National Guard. Now here we have a peaceful protester, so this is fine. This is how you can express your protest against the police. Ma'am, is it okay if I talk to you? Ma'am, do you mind if I document your protest? Can I speak with you? How you feeling today?
Fed up, honestly.
Fed up. Were you in Brooklyn at the George Floyd Memorial?
I couldn't. I was in the hospital.
Why were you in the hospital? Were you injured?
Yeah, my leg right now is tight. Sprained and tight. It's worse right now.
Could you pause the music so I can hear you? I don't mean to tell you what to do. I want people to hear what you have to say. So how were you injured? Was it from a protest?
I have got injured from my own personal.
Not the protest.
No.
So you've been peacefully I appreciate that you got to come out here and express your feelings and do the right thing. Do you plan to stay out past the curfew?
If it needs to be, yes.
Aren't you concerned that you'll be easily confused with the rioters, and if the police are trying to control a massive civil unrest, you could get caught up in that and injured?
I'm not a rioter. I just want peace and
I'm with
respect
you.
in this world.
I'm with you. My concern, however, is that from the standpoint of the police, who do need to maintain order in the city, we don't want all these buildings burnt down. Black people, white people, Asian people, Hispanic people all live in these buildings. If the neighborhoods get destroyed, that's not good. So the police need to regain civilization here. Aren't you concerned you'll be hurt if you're out after 8 o'clock?
If I'm hurt, I'm hurt. It's better to be hurt and just rather be took down.
But wouldn't it be better to come back tomorrow and peacefully protest than to get hurt after 8 o'clock?
Every day is a protest. Every day people protest every day. You want respect at the end of the day. Every
deserve
day,
respect. Everybody deserves
every day.
respect.
Protest is essential work.
I agree, and I don't think anybody should be stopped from protesting.
From curfew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Protest is essential.
I'm talking to this person. Can you just give us a minute, please?
I'm here with him.
Okay, but I'm talking to him, and I'd like to just have a conversation with him. I can come talk to you afterwards, but you're kind of interrupting me right now. So, protest is essential work, but don't you feel when the chief of police got down on a knee and hugged the protesters, he was showing a sign that the police want to meet in the middle and have a conversation and understand how we can improve relations between the community and police? Wasn't that a sign of concession by the police to get down on the knee?
By one police officer, yes.
The chief of police. It's a symbolic gesture from the chief of police. But then when the peaceful protesters don't show that they're also willing to compromise and allow justice to take hold and for justice to be done, it's antagonizing the police, isn't it?
No.
Why not?
One police officer does not mean anything. It is not excuse.
The chief of police
chief?
got on his knee with the protesters.
He may be the chief, but that does not excuse of every other police officer that has done wrong.
So every single police officer, did you know that a Haitian police officer got stabbed in the neck yesterday? He was black. Does he deserve to be stabbed in the neck? Doesn't his life matter? Did you know that a retired police officer, 77 years old, David Dorn was shot dead by rioters. Doesn't his Black Life matter? Shouldn't we protest during the day when we're protesting and allow the police to... Wait, take that sign down if you want to participate in the conversation, miss. Well, then you can go away. If you want to obstruct my conversation, I'm not interested in talking to you. Okay, but I'm not talking to you.
No matter their skin color, I'm not a racist.
I didn't say you were a racist. I'm just asking.
At the end of the day, it's the police and the government has done wrong. They're not doing anything to stop it. They're the ones continuing it.
So we want justice, right?
That's all we need.
And justice for the guys who murdered George Floyd is for them to go to jail and even face the death penalty if they can, right? That would be justice.
Taylor as well.
We're just talking.
I'm
I'm talking to this
names.
guy.
It's a lot more names than that one name.
Okay, I agree. But does that mean that David Dorn should be murdered in cold blood? No one said his name today. I didn't hear any of the people at the George Floyd Memorial say David Dorn's name. He was a grandfather, he was a father, he was a black man, he was a police officer. He's been killed senselessly. In my mind, the protest might do better if, when the police show signs of cooperating, if protesters would agree to cooperate as well.
This is a peaceful protest. I'm just on my knees. And I just want respect from the authority.
Oh, I agree,
They
but I
want
think...
respect from us, but we never get respect back.
But don't you think the chief of police getting on a knee is a show of respect for the protest?
That's only one. He may be the
But
chief,
he's the
but
chief.
that's one.
He's the chief.
That's one cop versus all the whole
So you want
department.
every single cop to get down on their knees and
If
to
they
relent...
respect people, they will all get on their knees and they will all...
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that.
That's your right, not to agree.
You're interrupting a conversation. That's not peaceful. That's disruptive. So I don't want to speak to you. Please stay out of our conversation.
It's fine for them to speak.
So then we're going to be done. So this is somebody who came and interrupted a conversation I was trying to have with people who don't seem to think that anything... there's no compromise. That's the problem. Because, you see, when there is no willingness to compromise, that's going to lead to more violence. That's my concern. So I appreciate the peaceful protesters, but violating a curfew is breaking the law, and you're going to leave these officers no choice but to crack your fucking skulls. Because when you disrupt this neighborhood and when you peacefully protest civilization, I'm on the side of the police. If you're out after 8 p.m., expect to get beat the fuck up. So we got more coronavirus victims here smoking cigarettes with the mouth around their chin. So this is the problem, okay? Just because you're not throwing a rock and just because you're not doing violence, it's not the same as a peaceful protest. If you leave the police with no choice, if you goad them to force them to have to arrest you, I doubt you're going to be happy with the outcome. And then they say there's police violence. Well, these police officers have been out on the street for, several days. They've got to be frightened. Police officers are getting shot. They're getting stabbed. It's quite scary. I want you guys to know that I'm with you. I got issues with certain things that are done by the NYPD, but when people want to destroy this city and stab and shoot and kill cops, you can't have that. Can't have that. They don't seem to understand that violating a curfew is violating the law, and it leaves you guys no choice but to arrest them. Please be safe. We have black police officers here. I hope their lives matter to some of the protesters tonight. The cops are ready. This is not going to be pretty. And I mean, people who want a violent revolution, so we got two peaceful people there who are on the knee being peaceful, but they are part of the powder in the powder keg. I had hoped that conversation would cause that individual to realize that, freedom of speech is not unlimited. You cannot spread lies and speak out in ways that are harmful to other people. And when the entire city is in danger of breaking down into lawlessness, which, by the way, it already has. It's not in danger. This city is lawless right now. At night, it is run by criminals. And I do not agree that you have the freedom to speak out against the police when you're doing that is disrupting them from stopping mass criminal rioting. I think if people were reasonable, did that guy just say to me that he wants every single police officer to get, I mean, this is what they want. They want every police officer to get down on their knees. They want every single police officer to quit the NYPD. They want to have no police so that they can, you know, I do what? I don't know. No one seems to have a good plan for that. Bedlam, chaos, what happens when someone does crimes against them? They're going to handle it themselves. Everybody's going to become a street fighter. Sounds like chaos to me. But I tell you, it doesn't look like the cops are joking around. And when you start stabbing them and shooting them, every single cop has that in their mind. I mean, see, and so now they're going to say that I'm a racist. That's the first thing that comes to their mind, you know? That woman who's afraid to show her face, but she wants to, you know, obstruct my freedom of speech by speaking to that guy. She wants to participate, but not really. She just wants to obstruct. That's what these guys want to do. They don't actually want to have a conversation with the police so that we can arrive at justice, so that we can have civility and calm and understand each other. I mean, in my mind, a lot of people objected to the police chief getting down on one knee, but whether you object to it or not, he's certainly showing a concession. He didn't come in there with a bat. He got down on a knee and engaged in a conversation. That guy rejects it. So how are the police going to respond to that? If they show that they're willing to relent and the opposition is not, oh, I went past 3rd Avenue. If they show that they're willing to relent and the opposition will not, well, then there's no conversation to be had. The police are just going to respond with bullets and bats and throwing people in jail. We can't have chaos. We can't. It's not going to go well for anybody. And the problem is, the people like those two peaceful protesters over there, they don't understand how they're being manipulated. Did you see that guy's brain kind of trying to calculate what I was saying, trying to process it? He's having that kind of cognitive dissonance, I think, because the things that I was saying made sense. If you truly want to peacefully protest, sit there in front of the cops like that all day and then go home. Be inside your house at 7:59 when the clock ticks over to 8 p.m. and you got nothing to worry about. No cops in my house trying to beat me up. But, you know, there's social media influencers who are telling people to go out and defy the protests. Where's Chris Cuomo? Why doesn't he get out in front of the cops and start lighting stuff on fire? I'd love to see Chris Cuomo get his head cracked in with a baton. I'd love to see the cops beat the shit out of Chris Cuomo. Why is he allowed to sit on CNN telling people to go do violence? It's absolutely absurd. I don't know, I got a text there that I couldn't read. So, you know, we're already at a point where the facts of what happened don't matter. Tao, one of the 4 police officers who's in jail, one of the 3 who was accessory to murder, which I agree with, the guy was. He should have stopped him. Just like the officer standing around in Alphabet City should have stopped Francisco Garcia from slapping that kid, boxing his ears. I'm still wondering, is that guy deaf in one ear? What about this guy who got stabbed in the neck? Oh, there was a guardian angel who had one of his eyes gouged out. So he's blind now for the rest of his life. I guess that guy's life doesn't matter. Or his eye didn't matter. Yeah, thousands of people coming across the Brooklyn Bridge right now. I mean, you know, when the cops try to demonstrate that they are willing to have a conversation, to show that they want peace and calm, and they want dialogue, and they want civility, but if the other side doesn't respond to that by saying, okay, we've got 4 officers in jail, let's let that process, and it's moving more quickly than any prosecution in that jurisdiction ever has. It's in control of a Attorney General, Keith Ellison, who is black. So why don't we allow some justice to happen there? Things have been moving in the right direction as far as justice is concerned. The officer was arrested. His 3 accomplices were arrested. We're going to see what happens to them. Wouldn't it be great for Keith Ellison, for Al Sharpton, for George Floyd's brother to call on people for calm and to end the protests and allow police to clean up the cities? Wouldn't that, if one of those guys came and said the things that I just said to that person peacefully protesting, maybe that would have an impact. I don't know. I mean, certainly not nearly as many people listen to what I say as those guys. So, I'm on 3rd Avenue here now. These businesses are all boarded up as well. I don't know how these things are going to be able to return. I think a lot of people are going to want to just move out of New York City. And by the way, I think most of these people who were peacefully protesting after the curfew, this is not their neighborhood. Why are they protesting here? Seeing out-of-state cars, out-of-state dopes. So we've got no investigation into what the prior relationship is between George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. We've heard nothing in the mainstream news about the relationship between Derek Chauvin and Tu Tao, one of the 3 accessories to murder. Tu Tao is I guess people say he's from Laos, so he's the Laotian police officer, who it seems that Derek Chauvin was married to his sister, this Kelly Chauvin, who has demanded a divorce. Why aren't we hearing more about that relationship? There seems to be really an unusual relationship between all of the people involved in this situation. People have pointed out that the EMTs who responded looked like cops. They were wearing bulletproof vests. They didn't resuscitate George Floyd. They didn't check his pulse. They just threw him on a gurney like a bag of meat. This is all very strange. So, I mean, again, justice and due process would involve investigating and understanding exactly what happened. Not to say that any of these circumstances would or should absolve the officers of killing the guy, but if we knew that there was some other motive and that it wasn't racial, that seems important to me. And what about all these people who have lost their eyes, lost their lives, recovering in hospitals? Who knows how that will affect the rest of their lives? And who knows what will happen tonight? Every night that this goes on, those that want to do crimes are emboldened. I mean, people who are peaceful protesters, they need to keep that in mind. You are at least providing cover for some of these not so peaceful protesters. That guy might just be, delivering his groceries. But we now have a lot of reports that tell us that bicycle crews are used to move messages and materials around. They've turned off the city bikes. I had noticed that there were a lot of people riding city bikes who just didn't look like the normal crowd of people that I see riding city bikes. I think you need to sign up on the internet for City Bike or put your credit card in there or something. It usually just looks like tourists, out of town people, and it didn't look like that. It looked like Antifa people riding the city bikes. And people need to really get into understanding what Antifa is and what it's all about, what the Weather Underground is and what that's all about. That ignorant dope who decided to surround me and join that gang of people that were, not a gang, but that group of people that were surrounding me and threatening and intimidating me. I mean, they didn't seem very peaceful to me. They're immediately argumentative. See, peaceful protester is that guy sitting there on his knee. He's not bothering anybody. He's not saying anything. He's not getting in anybody's face or making a cop think at any minute this guy could pull out a gun or is trying to distract my attention so somebody else could pull out a gun. He's just sitting there. And, that's cool. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but in my view, that guy's made a good choice sitting there during the daytime, not antagonizing, not intimidating, not cursing at the cops, cops are people too. And I've said it many times. Many cops have done crap to me that I was very unhappy with. But You can't fight with cops and expect to not get your ass kicked. You can't defy the curfew that the cops have been told to uphold and expect them to not arrest you. I mean, these social media influencers who are posting videos shocked that the police are hitting people with batons, you know, when they tell you it's 7:30, it's 7:50, it's 8 o'clock, go home, and you're not leaving and going home, they're going to hit you. So don't be surprised. They've been under attack for days. So we're approaching the spot where this officer was, I believe they were menaced. Somebody had a knife and was threatening them, so they shot him. It's the other thing to keep in mind if you're a peaceful protester and just be selfish and don't want to get injured yourself, go home. Union Square is, you got to go that way and you're going to run into it.
Another block?
It's more than a block. 3rd Avenue, it's a couple blocks, and go like, you're not going to miss it. Start looking to your right when you get over there,
okay.
And it's like 2 or 3 blocks that way and a block that way.
Okay, thank you.
Take it easy, be safe, huh? See, there's plenty of nice people who want to express their dissatisfaction with injustice, but breaking stuff. Look, whoever made this company, they're putting up Trayvon Martin's name, Eric Garner's name. They're trying to help, and they're still getting whacked with rocks, and their business is getting destroyed, and it's costing them money. And everybody assumes they have insurance. You don't know what's going on with that company, if they do or don't have insurance, or if their insurance company will pay, or how long that will take, and how do they make up the slack while they're waiting for an insurance payment if that machine is broken and they can't sell ads in it or whatever that thing does to make money. These are not thoughtful people. Hey, what's this black SUV doing? They're not thoughtful people. And everybody's running around with masks on. Guy's got New York plates. It's a livery. It's like an Uber or something. Yeah, so they canceled Uber. They closed the subway at 8, and so at 7:55 when people couldn't get home, they were surprised. So there we can see 2 helicopters in the air. The police are not messing around tonight. If you can hear this video or you know somebody who's out peacefully protesting today, I implore you to just ask them politely if they really want the protest part to remain peaceful and to really differentiate themselves from the rioters and show that they renounce the rioting, compromise, and just respect the fact that there's lots of people who simply want the city to not be destroyed. Now, I'm pretty sure that's the corner where the menacing and the shooting happened. Obviously nothing going on now. It was this morning at 6 a.m. But, you know, all the businesses around here are boarded up, graffitied up. I wonder how the people who live in this neighborhood feel. I mean, it made me very nervous to know that the business right next to my apartment building had been bashed up and smashed up. Somebody could, you know, how do we know tonight's not the night that they storm these apartment buildings and start, you know, stealing stuff from people's homes or terrorizing people in their homes? If you're truly a peaceful protester, you would be considering the black and white lives of people, all the colors of lives of people who live in these apartment buildings and just want to be able to get to bed at night without worrying, is somebody going to come kick the door down or burn the building down or come and kill me tonight? So, I mean, it's not a quest for justice, it's a request for revenge, you know? That person there was not able to accept or understand the significant meaning and value of the chief of all the police getting on the knee. That's the guy who, if you can meet him in the middle, he has the power to tell all the other police what to do. He has the power to prosecute police. He has the power to fire, I don't know why I can never remember the guy's name, Francesco Garcia. The symbolic value of the chief of police getting on his knee to show solidarity with the protesters is huge. But when you then, in turn, show the chief of police that it means nothing, well, what do you expect him to do? Surrender? That's not going to give us peace. So if you want to overthrow the police, I don't think they're going to go for that. If you want to have a dialogue with them and help them understand what your grievances are to try to resolve them, the chief of police getting on one knee is a huge step towards that. And here we see a peaceful protester who's rejected that. So I say again, the simple act of not throwing a rock and not lighting a building on fire, that is not sufficient in my view to consider yourself a peaceful protester. You have to really be protesting in pursuit of peace. And protesting in a way that facilitates looters arriving at night or keeps the cops on edge, it's just not going to help the cause. What it's going to do is it's going to cause the police to come back with a stronger response, to do more violence, and bust more heads and arrest more people. And I mean, in a certain, oh wow, there's 2 helicopters there too. There's more helicopters. I don't know if those, no, there's 3 I can see right now. I know I'll be inside my apartment at 8 o'clock. I don't want to be remotely close to batons hitting skulls or fires being set. So here we see people in black shirts coming up the street on city bikes. Let's see how angry they get that I'm video recording myself and they get in the frame. Black trans lives matter on that sign. These people seem calm. That guy's got an angry look on his face with the city bike. The masks are ridiculous. So if you're going to be out fighting with the police and lighting buildings on fire, you want to make sure you have your coronavirus mask because you wouldn't want to get sick. And so somebody else said to me that we're conducting a massive experiment right now, testing the first theory of, whether being out in public is going to give you coronavirus. I mean, maybe. I'm sure they'll just unleash whatever biological agent is the next thing. Here, Jerry's Fine Art retail space for lease. That's out of business. Crunch. All these places boarded up. So this is what the city bikes have been looking like for most of this coronavirus deal. They're all there. Nobody's using them. So now we see a lot of people on them. Obviously there's a lot more people around. Seems to have been less destruction in this neighborhood. Actually, when we get up to the movie theater, I think I saw a bunch of crashed windows over there. That street over there to my left is University Place. There were police cruisers burned over there 2 or 3 nights ago. So basically every building on that street is boarded up. Now here's another thing for people to consider. Peaceful protesters who are, at very least, providing cover for violent rioters. What about all the people who are traumatized just by the very idea that it's just no longer safe in this neighborhood? This is just the very notion that mad gangs of looters and rioters can take control. I mean, if you want to enable that, sure. Chris Cuomo is encouraging people not to participate in civilized society, but to, forego peaceful protesting, threaten and intimidate the cops. I don't know. That he should be fired from CNN for inciting violence. Yeah, liquor stores are wise to board up their places because they're going to get hit, no doubt. How are these businesses going to come back? Walgreens, I mean, that looks pretty stupid. Someone's just going to throw a rock at the top of the window. Oh boy. So we're approaching Union Square Park right now. I think most of the people are kind of assembling in, I hear a fire truck. I think most of the people are kind of assembling in Foley Square, which is down by the courthouse, pretty far from here, too far for me to walk right now, and I don't want to mess around with getting on the subway. Yeah, a fire truck right here. Got a pretty distinctive sounding diesel engine, and the siren is slightly different than a police siren. See, these guys too are in danger. People are starting fires. What happens when someone's apartment catches on fire and they need the fire department? If they're busy responding to your F-12 riot, you peaceful protesters are having a negative impact potentially on somebody else's life, where their apartment might be burning down. How could you do that? What about the injustice? It's another genius with a coronavirus mask and a cigarette in his hand, smoking it in my face. All right, so we got some form of protest or memorial service for George happening in the park right now.
About anywhere, bro. Not just there.
So here's finally an ambulance with the lights on being obstructed by all the peaceful protesters. I don't think that ambulance is going anywhere in too big of a rush. I'm just being salty. You know, this type of thing, this is good. This is what people should have a right to do and should be allowed to do. This is exactly what they would not let us do in City Hall Park, when we were trying to talk about the unconstitutional aspects of closing down that particular protest. It's so funny when people come out with the masks and then take them off to talk to each other.
Fuck that up.
Thousands of people out here.
That's so ridiculous. Hand sanitizer. They're going to fight with the police, but they want to make sure their hands are clean. Does anybody have a David Dorn sign? Does anybody know the name of the Haitian police officer who was stabbed in the neck? Do you guys know the name? There was an officer stabbed on 3rd Avenue, or there was a Haitian officer who was stabbed last night, wasn't there? They haven't released his name, as I don't see any signs with that guy's name on it. Well, if they haven't released him, That's one thing. So this guy's out here with, what is that, a Black Magic? Or maybe it's a Sony, I don't know, I've been out of the high-end camera game for a couple of years. That might have been a Sony Venice. So those are the guys that want the real soft bokeh, low light, fast lenses. So I want to be fully clear. I totally support people's right to do this. This is what I wanted to do a couple weeks ago when we were trying to protest the unconstitutional closure of everybody's business, the unconstitutional ending of day-to-day civilization, and they would not allow us to do that. Same exact governor and mayor who would not allow that protest to happen are now insisting that people should come out and protest here now. This is just an incredibly frustrating situation that so many people have been socially engineered by this. People aren't asking, oh, hey, that looks like Lincoln Kareem. Lincoln Kareem, I presume? Jason Goodman, how are you, man?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Very, very well. Everything going all right? Am I bothering you? Can I talk to you a bit? So, we'll come around this side here. It's impressive to see the bike. A lot of people have seen your videos. So if people aren't following Lincoln Kareem, he's got a YouTube channel and he's been documenting the coronavirus scam. Two more helicopters visible right now. Now there's a bunch of police going into the NYU dorm over there. I'm good, thanks. Sure. Yeah. So Lincoln, are you rolling or can I speak to you for a second? So you've been covering this whole thing and you have found a lot of critical evidence that indicates that at least what they've been telling us about coronavirus can't possibly be true, right?
Not anymore.
I mean, you've seen actors from, what's the thing called? Crisis something or other?
Crucial staff.
Crucial staffing. And you're from Trinidad, I think I've heard you say? So, I mean, what do you think about the chief of police getting on his knee with the protesters yesterday during the peaceful protest?
I didn't hear about that.
He did?
I don't watch TV.
It's a good thing. I know you don't. But I mean, in my mind, that seemed like the leader of all the police showing that he was willing to dialogue, to
Yeah, but that's an act. I would never even fall for that.
Well, but they did arrest the officers who murdered George Floyd, right?
Yeah, but that's what you see on TV. That's part of the act. I can't form an opinion. I can just record stuff and analyze it later.
All right.
But I am not going to say, hey, you saw that on TV? A politician kneeling?
Maybe you're right.
And I will say, oh shit, man, we are coming together. Bullshit, man.
I'm not saying we're coming together. I'm saying it's the police at least showing that they're willing to. It's different than the chief of police coming out with a baton and smacking people in the head.
Okay, what about the governor, Andrew Cuomo?
He's a total
I can't
jackass.
remember when it was, about a year ago. He went with the kids for gun control, and he laid down on the floor. You remember that scene?
I didn't see it.
The kids were protesting or something about gun control, whatever. It was after a school shooting. And he went with them, and he laid on the floor like he was all with them.
He's the liar.
Of course. So this isn't that equivalent to the chief of police kneeling?
The thing I'm trying to get at is, I feel like there's a lot of people who are blurring the lines between peaceful protest and rioting. opportunistic criminals who want to use these peaceful protests
And that
to
is
hide
what
themselves.
I'm actually trying to detect right now.
Yes, it's very important that we
Filter them
separate
out.
the peaceful protests from the troublemakers because
And look at it right here.
right.
They're right there.
The Volvo. My friend saw that Volvo on 3rd Avenue yesterday, and he observed them.
But don't watch them too.
He observed them giving out supply. So the thing that I've been trying to say to some of the peaceful protesters is that I fully support the right to protest. I got kicked out of City Hall Park for wanting to protest the lockdown. I like it that you got the Declaration of Independence right there. But the thing that I'm advising to people who really want to peacefully protest is that they adhere to the curfew. And the only reason I'm saying that is because if the police show that they're willing to dialogue by getting on the knee, if someone who truly wants to peacefully protest does that from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then goes home and allows the police to control the violence, that would at least show that they're also willing to meet in the middle. Allow the police to now take the next step. This is how we can dialogue. I just spoke to a peaceful protester who also said he didn't care about the chief of police getting down on one knee, and that until every police officer gets down on one knee and the police basically resign and they abolish the police, they won't be satisfied.
Honestly, I'm going to sound like a bad person now, but
You agree with that?
I agree with him.
You don't want any police in
No,
New York City.
I don't want any bullshit.
But
That's
don't
what
you
it
think
is.
if there were no police, we'd have rampant crime?
No, we need police. We need good police.
Right.
Definitely.
Yes.
And that's why we have to abolish this shit that we have right now.
But doesn't it make
This
more
is
sense
gangrene.
to dialogue
This
with the
is-
police?
No. This is gangrene. We need to cut this shit out and start from scratch.
So fire
There's
every
no-
single cop
Yes.
and then hire who?
Companies do it all the time. I was at CNN where they fired everybody.
They fired you from CNN?
Yes.
Why did they do that?
No. They fired everybody in the union and then rehired you.
Oh, cheaper.
Right?
So
No.
What were you, a cameraman?
No. They had an opportunity to filter out the shit. So that's what they do. The original company was called Potomac Video. They managed all the union staff for CNN.
Yeah.
They got rid of Potomac Video and they hired a company called Team Video to do the same thing. And basically, it was just on paper. You know, your services are no longer necessary.
Were you in the union?
Yes.
The union screws you though, doesn't it?
But this is what happened. It was just all on paper.
Yeah.
You lost your job, and the next day you had it back.
So you're saying do something like that with the
Yes,
police? Well, that
that's
might make
it.
sense.
That's
That
what I'm
might
saying.
make sense. But it doesn't seem like any of these protesters have a plan. You are a much more thoughtful guy than the average person walking around on the
they're
street.
young too, you know, so
Right.
and they're angry. So I sympathize with it.
What do you think about Antifa?
I know it's George Soros, but I don't know the details of it. I know this is Black Lives Matter.
What do you think about Black Lives Matter? Obviously, Black lives do matter.
Yeah, but not the slogan and not all the bullshit.
I mean, it's a polarizing kind
Love
of a thing.
everybody is a nice slogan too. But if it's coming from the wrong group,
Right.
it's not like I'm against loving everybody.
Right.
But
Right. What about
yeah, you probably realize right now I don't have much of an opinion. You know, I'm a documenter.
I think you
know?
do actually have very good opinions. When I've watched your videos, you're identifying
I just
things.
don't like to fall for bullshit,
I like that about you.
right? There's sometimes I'm in the middle of a protest and people start running, right? So you're there and everybody just start running. That's choreographed.
It's mob mentality.
No, it's choreographed. The run is actually choreographed. I've seen it when I worked for the Associated Press in places like Denver for the national conventions. I've seen it. They control it in what is it called? Brooklyn Barclays Center.
Yeah.
Guy with an umbrella
Uh-huh.
triggered it. So they run to create that chaos. So even if you're innocent and you see everybody running, you'll run too. The whole idea is to stay put.
Well, I mean, this is why I'm advising peaceful protesters and people who actually want peace to protest during the day, exercise their rights, but respect the need to maintain order and not have violence and chaos at night and just be home by 8 o'clock. That's my opinion. I'm not asking you to agree or disagree.
That's nice and ideal, but when people are angry to this point, you can't get.
Wasn't it Martin Luther King who said, an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind? would he have been out here calling for violence?
Well, let me give you something that I experienced myself. I was involved in a protest in 2004 for wildlife on Fifth Avenue. They destroyed a hawk's nest.
Oh yeah, I remember you were
Right.
covering that hawk.
I wasn't covering it, I started it.
But you had photographs of it. You were.
Yeah, I was in the middle of it. So that I know for sure what went on in there. And yeah, I was the ringleader of the protest. What I learned from that is when you start a protest for good reasons, professional protesters come in. I didn't know it at the time, and people were warning me about it, but I was so angry I didn't pay attention to them. And then I realized once protesters see something going on TV,
Take advantage of it.
they come in. It's like, hey guys, protest. And they went in and I saw them, and honestly, when they came to me and offered support, I was like, the more the merrier.
Right.
And I fell for that shit,
Exactly.
right? However, when they started negotiating to put the nest back, just like you're saying now, the police is kneeling, hey, let's meet them halfway, blah, blah, blah. They wanted me to do that too. They said, hey, we're negotiating to put the nest back. Let's stop the protests. Because it was around Christmas time, people wanted to have their dinner
Disrupting,
parties
yeah.
and stuff. And I was a bad guy. I said, bullshit, not unless I see the nest back, I'm staying right here.
All right. And
Everybody else wanted to meet them halfway, not me.
And then what happened? Did they put the
arrested
nest
me.
back? Oh. Wow.
They arrested me.
Did the nest ever get put back?
Yeah, after they arrested me.
Well, I'm sorry that had to happen. Were the police violent with you?
No, they were very nice.
So that's good.
But what they did was illegal. Some woman told them that I was harassing their kids, and they just went by that those words. I was fucked up. But as far as the arrest was concerned, no, it wasn't anything violent or.
But you know, stuff like that happens all the time when dealing with bureaucracy. I was attacked by a white guy. The guy was arrested. I went down to the district attorney, and they said, well, he said it was self-defense. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? The guy hit me with a crowbar. I was just talking. And they had no evidence, no video, nothing. They just let the guy go, didn't prosecute him. So that wasn't very fair either, but it's not the same as
You
somebody
know,
getting killed.
Sticking to your question, you just told me about the police kneeling. I didn't know about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, they want to negotiate. They want to meet halfway. But to me, that's just bullshit. You have to show some serious signs that you want to negotiate.
But do you think that the police will ever just abandon New York City and resign? I
No,
mean,
they would not.
they're gonna
That's
roll
why
in here
it's
with the army and
it's-
kill everybody.
It's not going to be. It's going to be everybody lose situation.
that's what I mean. That's why.
Well, you know, I can't speak on behalf of all these people.
No, certainly not.
I mean, I have, you know, views on how you can take care of the problem and stuff like that, but it doesn't really matter. My job is just to document.
I think you're doing a great job. Lincoln Kareem, Karim, right? So people can go on YouTube and subscribe to Lincoln Kareem. Thank you very much.
Take
Good to
care,
meet you,
man.
Lincoln. I
Good
appreciate you. You too. Hopefully I'll see you around again. All right, there we go. Lincoln Kareem. That's good. I'm glad I got to meet him. I've been watching his videos. If people haven't seen Lincoln Kareem's videos, definitely get onto YouTube. It's nice of those people to be handing out water, but perhaps it's the New York in me. I don't like to take food or drinks from strangers on the street. Who knows what could be in that water? There's another helicopter. I'm going to vacate this area. I think we have covered enough interesting stuff. So we got the police over here. I mean, certainly if Lincoln Kareem and I have observed some of these things happening around the city, I think the cops must have observed them as well. That Volvo over there, my friend on the east side saw the other day. So, you know, people could say they've seen me the other day and ask what I'm doing around. Yeah, it's when people stop talking that violence happens. You see, these guys are taking away the city bikes, it looks like. So the cops are becoming aware, I think, of what's up. That's smart, actually, to have a pit bull with you. I just don't think these stores are going to be able to open back up. Why would you want a retail cell phone store after all this? People just order them off the internet. This lady's driving the wrong way down the street, almost crashed into me. Guys hanging out, drinking booze. Fish's cat in there. Well, I don't know. We could be just a few hours away from that scene in Union Square erupting into chaos. I would even go as far as saying if you are out at 8 p.m. and the cops have told you that you need to be home by 8 p.m., it's no longer a protest, it's antagonizing. You're basically daring the cops to arrest you, and then when they arrest you, complaining that they're enforcing these rules that the governor has put on. I hope the cops are watching Lincoln Kareem's YouTube channel, because I mean, he's just been doing an amazing job of staking out these various locations and gathering up footage of what's going on. You know, if the cops have a network of people doing what Lincoln Kareem and myself are doing, just going around checking out what's up, oh, now wait a minute, this is Fish's Eddy that Charles and I were walking by just the other day, and now it's boarded up. You know, people remember that I saw that guy walking with the brand new DeWalt drill. He's just going to unscrew a few of these boards and then attack the windows, if that's what they choose to do. Got more helicopters overhead now. I just don't think that these protesters understand what they've gotten themselves involved in. That is to say, when they press it beyond 8 p.m. Why don't they protest by running for city council or becoming a lawyer, or, you know, they want to tear down the whole system, but I haven't really heard a good idea for how they would build it back up, and I don't think anybody realizes how painful that process would be. J&M Hardware is open. That's my old hardware store. That's a you know, family owned, been there for a long time hardware store. I wonder how they're doing. You know, that businesses like that in New York City have enough problems from Home Depot. Home Depot has not been in New York City for that long. But since it arrived, I mean, maybe 10 years. We'd have to check. I'm at an age where stuff that's been around for 10 years still seems new. But, you know, independent hardware stores have been having a really rough time. And J&M Hardware, that's one place that has stayed in business by being a neighborhood hardware place. Well, it doesn't look open right now. Maybe that sign is from a few days ago. You know, they're definitely closed. Used to live around the corner. Yeah, J&M Hardware is definitely closed. Well, at least they're not getting smashed. I'm surprised this place hasn't put up wood. I mean, what if you can't afford it? You got to hire people to come install all that wood, unless you know how to do it yourself. But how could you even do it yourself? One piece of wood is too heavy for one person to lift. So what if you don't have the money to secure your business and then it gets destroyed? And then you go broke and you can't pay your rent, and you can't buy food, and you get divorced, and the rest of your life is miserable. Well, that doesn't matter. People need to break windows and loot, and they need to put pressure on the cops while exercising their freedom of speech. And I mean, putting pressure on the cops Sure, that's fine. Do that by going to the park right now, protesting, speaking out. Make a documentary about this, put it out. Make a documentary about George Floyd, make a documentary about police brutality. Run for mayor, run for comptroller, get involved in local government. Why don't any of these people try to affect the change? I mean, those lawyers throwing Molotov cocktails are the picture-perfect example of what is wrong with all of this. If you're a lawyer, why didn't they bring a lawsuit against the NYPD for failing to fire Francisco Garcia? That's something a lawyer could do. That might have had an even bigger impact. This is what I wanted to say. So Al Sharpton was saying that justice delayed is justice denied. And he is a disingenuous con man. He is inciting violence himself. Justice delayed is justice denied. That's true if they delayed and then Derek Chauvin went. I think what that saying is talking about is that if the justice is delayed and then that guy goes and kills somebody else, that's justice denied. If the justice is delayed 5 days, that's not really delayed. We need to define what is a delay. I think a lot of people talk about justice delayed as justice denied. When somebody is found not guilty after they're dead, that's justice denied. When it takes 5 days for them to locate, arrest, do whatever, I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. That seems like, can we have a little bit of patience? Because even when the justice is starting to be done, that the guy's in jail, just like those peaceful protesters who weren't satisfied that the chief of police was willing to enter into a dialogue with them, now we've got justice happening, but there's no letting up of the violence. So, that's unfortunate that Lincoln got arrested and that it was on the grounds of somebody saying something that wasn't true. That's really bad. He strikes me as an exceptionally thoughtful guy, creative, intelligent, etc., pointing out important stuff, a lot of insights. But we don't know what would have happened if he had dialogued with the police. He seems very passionate as well, so I understand, we'll get some more details on that in the future perhaps, but the point I'm making is if the rest of those people had refused to dialogue with the police, maybe that nest would have never gone back there, and then Lincoln would not have gotten what it was that he was protesting for. So, I mean, again, I don't know that the nest for a hawk is appropriate analogy for this situation, because we're talking about a disruption to this whole entire city, a disruption to this whole entire country. And by the way, we've got justice underway. Can we allow Keith Ellison's, I guess it's not the Department of Justice, but the criminal justice system there in Minnesota, can we give it a week to do what it's going to do? And people say no, because there's other police officers who killed people. All right, so that means we want to now kill innocent black people who are themselves retired police officers or members of the NYPD. We want to stab people in the neck. We want to put out guys' eyes. How is that justice? How is that justice? Why is that justice for those guys? Why is no one talking about that? I would love to see Derek Chauvin spend the rest of his life in jail or even get the death penalty. I'm pro-death penalty. If you're going to choke a guy out in the street, why do we need you around? Why do taxpayers need to pay for that guy to eat prison burritos for the next 30 years? Just kill him if he's found guilty. That was weird. But I mean, it seems that there is justice starting to occur, and that does not seem to satisfy. So, again, from the standpoint of the cops, when they're doing their best to do justice, and there is no concession at all from the other side, I don't think you can reasonably expect them to back down. And I got to imagine their patience is wearing thin. But this is what they want to do. This is what the agitators want to do. They want to capture the minds, the pretty simple minds of some of those protesters, and polarize, personalize, and polarize is what they want to do. So these guys are here from Delaware in a Bentley. What are they doing with D6977 Bentley? That's strange. Why is the Delaware Bentley here? They want to personalize and polarize, and nothing gets more personal than this type of racial division. Very tense in the city right now. Very tense in the country. We've never had a moment like this before, I don't think. Even during the civil rights movement, it just feels like the world is ready to explode. Best Buy is all boarded up, and we got cops over here. These cops have got to be nervous. I mean, if a gang runs at these two cops, what would they do? Oh my God, there's a woman on the street with a little baby. I hope they're not living there. Well, luckily no arguments today. See the way that white girl insinuated herself into our conversation? I didn't invite her. I politely asked her to step away and let me conduct the conversation, but no, she wanted to be in it. Well, okay. That's microaggression. She's invading my space. I hope that people will become sponsors of Crowdsource the Truth. It's quite trying to be out here doing this. And can't do these shows without the support and sponsorship of the viewers. Please go to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. There's a huge library of sponsor exclusive content there. It's growing every week, almost every day, as a matter of fact. Got a special show coming up tonight with Charlie Robinson, the author of The Octopus of Global Control. So we'll be talking about all this stuff, how the media is fanning the flames. Chris Cuomo, what a disgrace that guy is, and his stupid brother. We've got to get Cuomo and de Blasio out. Those guys are no good. But anyway, just about done here for this live stream. Sorry that cut out over there on 3rd Avenue. But got a good idea of what's going on in New York City today. Yeah, you know, it was interesting the other day when I was having all those connection problems over there by Madison Square Garden. I was talking to some guardian angels. That was like the night before one of them lost his eye in a skirmish. That's really bad. But I think that segment might not have gone out. I think the broadcast might have cut. I'll try to make an effort to go through and restore some of these videos and post them up on Patreon. It's just so much material. It's hard to do. Hopefully things remain peaceful tonight. It seems last night the attention was focused more on doing violence against the police themselves rather than these actual businesses. By the way, you know, randomly attacking police who themselves may not have been directly involved in violating anybody's rights is also not justice. It's just revenge. You know, I mean, maybe why aren't people picketing Francisco Garcia's house or his precinct, demanding that they, you know, put him up on assault charges? What about that guy who got his head slammed into the sidewalk and looked like he got his neck broken? What happened to those police officers? Why is nobody talking about those guys? There's more ambulances doing nothing over there. It's looking pretty quiet over here. Yeah, it almost seems like there was more activity in this neighborhood the other day, right before the night where all the violence took place in this neighborhood. So I don't know if this thing is going to have David Dorn's name on it. We don't yet know the name of the Haitian officer, the NYPD officer who was stabbed in the neck. That's just crazy. There's a handicapped guy trying to make me handicapped by running me over. Had a handicapped license plate. All right, well, that's basically it for this live stream. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll be back at 8 o'clock tonight with Charlie Robinson, author of The Octopus of Global Control. All right, see everybody soon. Thanks for